The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Oswald Jackson.
And I am Shannon Penrod.
Hello, Shannon Penrod.
Thrilled to be here with you. We have a big show.
Yeah, we do.
We have a lot of things to talk about. Anne Laura Davin, who we haven't had on in a long time, is going to be joining us in a little while. She is the author of the book Being Seen, and she is an amazing self-advocate. And we'll look forward to talking to her and getting an update because there's a lot of things that she's been working on. So thrilled that she's going to be here. And then I'm going to slaughter her name and then I'm going to apologize profusely. But Ifunanya Nwiki, and I always have a hard time with her name and I need to be a better friend and learn how to phonetically pronounce her name. But I don't get to say it enough because I don't get to see her enough. But she's an amazing young woman. In fact, this year was tapped one of the 40 under 40 to watch.
Oh, that's quite an honor.
That is quite an honor. She's the founder and executive director at Jazz Hands for Autism, an amazing organization. Did I give you the copy of that, Nancy?
No, but that's
I
okay.
will. I didn't not give Nancy all of her stuff, but she's an amazing young woman. She's like, I can understand why she would be tapped
chosen
as a 40 under 40 because she's. You'll see. She's got a spirit that's brighter than the sun. She's just amazing. I'll find that for you. But we also wanted to start with just a couple of news stories. We always like to give you something that makes us look like complete idiots. Because it's always like, I don't know, I'm going to speak for myself, it's over my head. But medical news today, just a couple of days ago, published an article about autism and the gut microbiome. Further evidence suggests link. And this is something that we want to encourage you to go and take. Like, at this point, it feels a little bit to me like duh. But we need to get this information out to the rest of the world. There are a lot of different organizations that are working on this in a lot of different ways. And in particular, they are quoting from the journal Cell, that researchers from the California Institute of Technology, Caltech in Pasadena, have been able to work on previous studies to show that this microbiome, which is the name for the collective genomes that belong to a community of microorganisms that are in the gut.
In the gut, right.
So it's like, we all have these things that we all know about, the probiotics and the prebiotics now, right? There's this stuff in our gut, and literally, and there's even a study at CARD that they've been doing this, that they can take your poo and they can spin it and whatever and take your microbiome out and chart it, and just looking at the microbiome, they can go, oh, these are the kids with autism. Now, isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
Like, you can
And
identify.
what they did here was they transferred the material into mice.
Yes.
And notice that once they transferred the material, the mice had ASD symptoms.
But what's fascinating to me about all of this is that, as we look at all the different ways of diagnosing, so there's that aspect of it too, that it's not in your head, that there's something going on, but it's happening in the gut. And if we can put if we can load that from a person and put it into a mouse and we get autism behaviors, we go back to the fecal transplant study that we've covered here on the show before. If you can take the microbiome of somebody who is very healthy and does not have the symptoms that get in the way, like the, not being able to focus, if you put that poo, the microbiome,
Right.
not the poo, the microbiome, into a person who's struggling,
Yes.
that we've already seen that it populates their colon and they have an easier time focusing.
Makes a difference in behavior.
So anyway, check out Medical News today and read more about the microbiome and all the things that we know about gut. Don't you remember it was just like a couple of years ago that for the first time, Autism Speaks said that they were going to give millions of dollars to be able to research this, and everybody was like, oh, finally, we're going to look at this. And here
Right.
we are a couple of years down the road, and the studies are coming in left, right, and center. Money well spent, Autism Speaks.
Yes.
So love that. Okay, and then we have a story that, I don't know about you, tears my ticket.
Yeah, I mean, very disturbing.
On what planet?
Yeah, a little boy in Indiana was given the most annoying male award at a school luncheon in front of the entire school, teachers, students, and principal.
You have to just go, it's such a symptom of something terribly awry with that teacher and with that school.
Yeah, they said they meant it to be a joke.
Well, I'm sorry. You know that Maya Angelou thing about when people would say to Maya Angelou, oh, I was just kidding. And you know what Maya Angelou would say? But I'm not. Right? I mean, come on. And then it was even a trophy, and the family went to leave the trophy. Like, we don't really want to take that home.
And they said, take it home.
And they were like, oh, don't forget to take your trophy that said your kid is the most annoying male. I think
Right.
they're lucky because I would have torn the place down.
This kid is nonverbal, will occasionally rock back and forth and become easily emotional. So they've had some, that those kind of symptoms have presented, but no way is that an excuse to do this.
And the family is moving and they're going to another school, which is, I think wise. But honestly, thank you for allowing it to go in the news, because the family could have swept that under the rug. But thank you for letting it go in the news so that if there is any other, and I'm going to use the term idiot stick teacher who thinks that's a good idea, you don't deserve to be in the teaching field. You
Right.
need to go home and find a different job because you are not fit to be with anyone. I'm not just talking about children, but you're not, if you think that that's hilarious, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm trying to think, like, go on a fishing trawler
Right.
and work with nets and fish. If that's what you think, oh, that makes me so mad I can't even control myself. Okay, and then the last thing that we wanted to talk about, and I teased this a little bit on Wednesday, but CARD's been working for a long time on the idea of phenotyping autism. I get so excited about this, Nancy. The whole idea of if we can know that there have been times when I've been someplace with you and you've said, oh, that person reminds me of Jem, or I've said, oh, that person reminds me of Wyatt, right? That we know that there is no one size fits all for
Right,
autism, and that
right.
it's not really autism, it's autisms, right? And that if we can subgroup autism, if we can type it and subgroup it and know that, oh, one person in here did really well because they got X, Y, and Z, and apply it to the others, we will get there faster, right? So if one group of kids, and the example that I always use is there's one type of kid that they described as having really bad handwriting, they have visual motor issues, they're sometimes clumsy, and that they had a hard time catching a ball. But if you go back to catching, the kids that they worked on catching the ball with until they mastered it, did better at handwriting, did better at riding a bike, did better at tying their shoes than the ones who didn't. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Because now we know work on the
different
ball
type,
skill,
right.
and you're going to get there faster. So phenotyping autism, subtyping autism, so important. So the study is finally out that CARD did.
Okay.
And the name of it, this is in Science Direct, the International Journal of Medical Informatics, and you guys can access this. I'll post it on Facebook too. But Many of the people in the study, but not all, are from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, such as Dr. Dennis Dixon and Marlena Novak and Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet, and the late, great, but not from CARD, Tristram Smith, who passed away before this got published. But amazing. This is the largest group ever studied, a group of kids and subtyped. This is transformative to the autism community. I'm so proud that we work with the people who did this, and that our kids were a part of this, because any child who had information entered into the skills program, there's a backside of it that's completely blind that you can't hook back up to your child, but it means that their data was added into this.
Okay.
That makes me proud. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah.
But so they have clustered ASD into subgroups, and I always forget whether it's 16 or 17 groups. 16, excuse me. And it's amazing. Like, the study is dense for me to follow, but we're going to have Dr. Dixon come on to talk about it. But there are clusters. And by the way, CARD is also doing another study on the gut biome to pair that with these, but this is just behavioral. That they exhibit certain behaviors, they learn in a certain way, and now we can see, well, but this worked with this child, so let's try it with the other child and get more done.
Okay, good.
It just means kids are going to make more progress faster. I'm very excited about it. But again, so the name of the article is Identification and Analysis of Behavioral Phenotypes in Autism Spectrum Disorder via Unsupervised Machine Learning. Doesn't that make you want to put your head in a sieve? Like, I didn't pick how that worked, but the reason why it's the unsupervised machine learning, as I understand it, is because the data was put into Skills, which is the machine, so that it took all the data and then they sorted the data from that. But it's analysis of behavioral phenotypes in autism, very, very exciting. Okay, so check that out, and I will also post it to Facebook.
Okay.
As I said, we have these two wonderful guests. We're going to take a break, and I believe we come back with Anne-Laure first, I believe.
Okay.
So stick with us, don't go anywhere.
Do you provide care services to someone with autism? Recently, more and more children are being diagnosed with the condition and getting the support they need as awareness grows. But what happens to these children as they grow up? It's estimated that over 500,000 youth with autism will turn 18 in the next decade, and they'll be faced with a very difficult reality. As children with autism grow up, their services start to disappear or become very difficult to access. Things like medical care, mental health counseling, vocational training, and more. All services that are still desperately needed. The loss of support that youth with autism face as they grow up is so severe that it's referred to in the autism community as falling off a cliff. Adults with autism need the same level of support they had as children to avoid falling off the services cliff. Introducing Skills Living, the web-based software designed specifically to help transitioning youth and adults with autism so they can avoid the cliff and instead fly to success. With Skills Living, help your learner with autism develop the skills they need in all the critical areas of adult life, including self-control, planning, and problem-solving, effective communication, performing life skill tasks for independent living, acquiring and maintaining employment or other meaningful activities, developing and maintaining social skills and relationships, accessing transportation and public services, and being safe. Skills Living includes a comprehensive assessment, a data collection mobile app, behavior intervention plan builder, and automatic progress reporting. It also provides a complete curriculum addressing 16 key areas spanning the entire range of functioning adulthood. Skills Living is easy to use and can be implemented by schools, parents, and autism service providers. Call or click today for your free demo and see how Skills Living can help your learner with autism avoid the cliff and instead reach their fullest potential. Skills Living. Wish, learn, become.
And we're back, and now we're joined by a special guest who has appeared on the show before and is here to talk to her about her life and her memoir, Being Seen, a memoir about me, an autistic mother, a French immigrant, and a Zen student. So wonderful. She is all those things.
And she is. Welcome back to the show, Anne-Laure Davin.
Shannon, And thank you to you too.
Nancy's, we're both thrilled to have you here with us. So, Anne-Laure, it's been a little over a year, I think, since you've been on the show, and we reached out to you to see if you wanted to come back on because I kind of want an update. I want to know what's happening in your wonderful world and what you're up to. So, can you, as Nancy mentioned, are author of a wonderful book, Being Seen, and want to know how that's doing and if a lot of people are appreciating that and what you have going on in your world right now.
Well, I have been doing a lot of more and more. My life is really about merging autism and meditation. So I have a group called Autism. And Autism is made of two parts. The first part, which I usually lead, is a monthly meeting, meditation for autistic people and neurodiverse and sometimes allies or friends, well, same. And that happens in San Rafael, California, which is just north of San Francisco. And the second part is, which we just finished this weekend, is the yearly retreat. And that my partner, Greg Yates, helps me. He's also a self-advocate in the autism world. So, and for the retreat, it's in the South Lake Tahoe area, and it lasts 4 days.
What a wonderful thing. And who goes on that retreat?
So all the people on the autism spectrum. So, you know, it's in a cabin, so we only have, in terms of lodging and also the space, we can only accommodate between 5 and 7 people. So it's not that many, but it means it's lovely because it's very intimate and people just love it. I mean, each time when they make it, they just love it.
How have you integrated meditation with autism? How do those two intersect with each other?
So I know that I'm alive. First of all, I have to say how grateful I am to have a Zen practice, meditation practice, and how I integrate those two. I mean, my autism and the meditation. Well, first of all, meditation is for absolutely everybody. I mean, is for everybody can do it. So, of course, for me, who is extremely sensitive to sounds, noise, and everything like that, it is mainly the sensory. One of the biggest help for me is, of course, the lack of stimuli when I practice Zen. I practice Zen in the Soto Zen lineage, which means that really sensory is down. No, it's not guided meditation. It's complete silence. It's also subdued, darker usually colors that people wear, you know, black robes, things like that. And yeah, you know, even when I go in a monastery, a Soto Zen monastery, everything is built. They did not think of autistic people, but let's face it, sensory-wise, it's great for me. I mean, the lights are low, not shining, your eyes are on your head. It's mostly in silence. So anyway, I'm repeating myself about that, but that's a major for me.
Right.
So I'm curious. So then when you go to do this, you're going to someplace to do it, Anne-Laure, or do you do it someplace and you also do it at home?
You're right, I do it both. And at first, when I was really in bad shape, of course, that was great because I did it a lot at home. I mean, even now, I'm doing definitely more than 50% at home every morning, first thing when I get up. But the other times I do go with others. I find it very important to be with others. So like I was actually, since you bring that up, I will tell you that in the winter, in January, February, and March, I did this very intense monastic practice period. And that was very hard.
Why was that hard? I would think with all the other things that you just talked about that would, because the stuff that you were just talking about is so hard for me. To get still and to get silent and to have no input, I like really, I have to say I can't do it. I'm sure that I could with practice, but I can't right now. It's very hard for me. And I know a lot of other people say that. So I can't even do that. But you're telling me you can do that for long periods of time, but then this monastic was hard for you. Why?
Okay, well, a practice period is very different from a retreat. Okay, a retreat is a total different, nice, easier in many ways. A practice period means, well, you get up at 3:40 a.m. and you go to bed. And for me, I mean, you go to bed normally after 9 p.m. But of course, for me, that means always sleeping even less than that. So sleep deprivation was hard, and also was very cold.
Cold,
so those were the
cold and no sleep. This doesn't sound like fun to me, Anne-Laure.
Well, no, it is not.
Okay.
See, the thing about meditation that people often get confused with is they think it's going to be fun.
Okay.
And it's not.
But what is the benefit that you get from it that makes it still worthwhile, even though it's hard and not fun?
Well, I don't know if I'm sure you are silent for a few minutes at a time and still. And you know that what starts to happen then is that, what's inside us that we have a tendency to try to distract ourselves from all the time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it doesn't really ever go away. And the only way to integrate it is to face it.
Right.
And so by being quiet and staying with it despite the fact that, well, it's not necessarily fun, no. But it's joyful because what happens is eventually when you embrace all of this, it's the only way to make peace with it, to integrate it. Do I make sense here?
Yeah, I mean, as much as a person, it's like describing the color red to somebody who is not able to see. Because you say you're sure that I'm sometimes still, and I don't know that I ever am. My brain is always, even, I meditate, I do, but I find that, and I've gone through a series of trainings for acceptance commitment therapy, and one of the things that we had to build into it was that I would sit and meditate, and I would try to find the empty space, and then the thought would come through. And that we had to allow for me to say the thought, there goes the thought, it's going, okay, now, and then it would come through again. Because I don't know that I've ever gotten to a meditative state where it was quiet. I don't know if I'm alone in this.
Well,
You're a good meditator.
I'm a meditator. I haven't done it lately, though. I have to say my practice has lapsed.
But you and Nancy is somebody who goes on retreats,
Right.
and you go in a monastery. So she's, well versed in this. I think they would kick me out of the monastery because I would be sitting there and saying, "When do we get to eat again?" And then it would be off the rails.
But you find find meditation.
Trust yourself.
Right.
Okay.
But
All right.
this has tremendous benefits for those on the autism spectrum. Is that correct?
Tremendous. Yes. It has benefits for everybody who has it. But when you are autistic, yes, actually settling down a little bit, quieting down is extremely important. It has changed my entire life. It's like, okay, so now I understand better that, yes, my mind is thinking often enough. And I mean, I cannot stop that. It's happening. The brain is going to have plenty of ideas. However, they kind of slow down. It's like well, first that it's going to come, something is going to happen. Something always happens in this life. But then you know that it will pass at one point or another. Hopefully, of course, there is always exceptions to everything. And also, I wanted to tell you, Shannon, that yes, like you were saying, the color red, for me, I often say it's like a recipe.
Yes.
You might have all the ingredients, you might know it by heart and all that, but until you do it, you really don't know it.
Yeah. And I recently saw, I went to a workshop where the gentleman, and I wish I could remember right now what his name was, but he was talking about all the studies that have been done on using meditation for individuals of all ages on the autism spectrum and their parents. So as young as, I think, 4-year-olds and up through senior citizens, all of them, the people on the spectrum and the parents, in order to reduce anxiety and to help with focus and to generally just be more productive. Right. And he had more studies than I think, than there are about ABA, right. Honestly, right. And about how helpful. And I say that with love because there are so many studies showing how effective ABA can be, but like he had so many studies talking about how much more productive parents can be, how much lower the anxiety could be. And I really see that there is a movement now. It's funny because one of the things he talked about was a meditation teaching young people how to ride the wave. And I was just making the wave motion. I see that there is a movement, a wave of people really getting interested in this. In all areas of autism, that the individuals, obviously self-advocates like yourself, Anne-Laure, the parents of young children and teenagers, but also people in the ABA community wanting to pair ABA with meditative practices to get a better result because the studies show that there is. It's really very clear right now that this is the time and the space for this, that people are really recognizing it. Now, but you've been doing it for a while, Anne-Laure, correct?
Yes, 20 years.
20 years. And this gentleman was saying that we have a meditation that we give for stressed out parents that's 11 minutes and it's a guided meditation. And I made it 11 minutes because I thought, anything longer than that, it's hard to have more than 11 minutes, right? But this gentleman was saying that until you can get to the practice of doing 20 minutes at least, that like if you can do 20 minutes, your result maximizes greatly. And if you can work towards an hour, that it maximizes greatly. Do you find that to be true too, Anne-Laure?
Yes, I do find that to be true. However, I would add one thing is that it needs to be constant every day. That's a big one. It's like anything, you just do it one day.
Not going to work.
It really is constantly.
Right.
Where would people go to learn more of how to do this practice? Where would you recommend?
Okay, being with others always feels good, but of course at home it's fine too. All what you need to do is sit down in a quiet spot and be quiet, no stimuli. But what would I recommend is, well, of course, it's easier if you're in a bigger city because in all bigger city by now there are Zen centers if you really want to go check that out.
Okay. All right. And where can people get your book?
On Amazon. Sorry, I'm French. That was
I loved the way you said
Once
it.
again, the name of it is Being Seen.
Oh yeah, look, I have a copy here. Let me see. I'll show it. This
Wonderful.
Is Being Seen.
Okay.
Absolutely love it, and really charts your life and excuse me, some of the confusion that you had early on about feeling like perhaps that you were different before you got a diagnosis. Because how old were you when you got your diagnosis, Anne-Laure?
I was 46.
Okay.
Wow.
So, and your life has changed so much for the better now knowing, is that correct?
Oh yes, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. May I say something? There's
Yes.
something that I really feel is important for people to know about.
Okay.
Is the meditation group that I was talking about. It has a website, and that's autsit.net. And I really would like to share that, if I may.
So can we spell that?
Yes, it spells AUTSIT.net.
Autism.net.
Okay, just like it sounded.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure I was hearing it right. Okay, well, we want to thank you so much for being with us again, and we love it when you stop by. So let us know whenever you have an update of something that you want to talk about. We'd be thrilled to have you on.
Well, thank you, Shannon and Nancy, right?
Yes.
So I was not sure it was Nancy.
Yes.
See?
Thank
Now
you,
I know.
Anne-Laure. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thanks for
You guys
joining
have
us
a good
today.
day.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you for
care.
having me.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I just enjoy her, and we had the opportunity to be with her and her partner like about a
yeah,
year
we went
ago,
to lunch with them.
and they're just like really centered people.
Yes,
and
they
it
are.
makes me feel like I'm like all over the
All
place
over,
because
yeah.
I am,
ADD, yeah.
and they are so centered. And
Right.
like there's some people that when you're around, you're like, oh, I think I'd like to have more of what
Yeah, you
you're having.
immediately chill
Right?
out.
like I want what you're having.
Right.
And the peace. Because I'm at a place in my life where I feel like I'm just going 95 miles an hour down a corridor with a train chasing.
Right.
I'm like, that's how I look at my life. So I have to say, I really, everything this year is screaming at me that I
Right.
got to get more into the meditative
Right.
process.
I think you should.
I think I should too, but
I've
also.
got to get back to my religious practice of it because I used to do it every morning.
And I remember how you felt when
Right,
you did that,
much better.
and I looked at that longingly too, and was like, that looks like it's good for us
Yeah, it
all.
was good.
All right, well, let's make a commitment that we're
All right,
going to
we'll
be a
commit
little
to
bit
each
better,
other.
and then let's report back over the next couple of weeks and see. And if you guys want to join in whatever way that you want and report
Yeah,
to us.
just
and
start
let us-
at 20 minutes a day and start with deep breathing, and you could pick a word. There's sacred word
Yeah.
meditation, which is easy to do. You just pick a word like gratitude or
And just
hope,
keep saying it?
and just say it mentally in your mind over and over again.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. The only time that that kind of meditation worked easier for me, was that my husband and I used to do a thing together where we would do a series of stretches, that we would do affirmative statements that were personal to us while we would do these stretches, because my back was messed up, and we would do these stretches and it was great. My back was so much better and my feet were so much better, right? Because when your back is better, your feet are better. And then we would sit down and do a meditation together. And that, so I think that being accountable to other people. So let's say that as a group, we're gonna give it a
sounds
try.
good.
All right. So
All right,
we gotta
we're
take a
gonna
break.
and then we're going to come back with our next guest, Ifananwa Nweki.
Ifunanya, I think.
Ifananya.
But hopefully she will correct
She's
us
gonna correct
appropriately.
us.
From
and
jazz
she's got
hands.
quite a background and
Oh my gosh.
a lot to share.
What an amazing young woman.
Thank you.
All right,
Hold
stick
on.
with us.
Nobody ever asks a kid with autism, what is it you'd really like to do? At this school, we ask the kids, what is your goal? What is your dream? Exceptional Minds is a vocational training program for young adults on the autism spectrum who want to have careers in computer animation and visual effects. I think young people with autism are totally underestimated.
When you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. They all have different talents, different skills, and what surprised me is that there really are no limits. That if these guys believe that they can do something, they really can.
It's estimated that 90 to 95% of young adults with autism are unemployed or underemployed.
A lot of young adults still live at home. A lot of them suffer from depression and are very isolated from the rest of the world, and the opportunities for them are very limited.
We want to develop careers for our young adults. Our full-time program runs 3 years, at the end of which we have job placement and job coaching. We have a work readiness program. We also have our own in-house studio so that when our students graduate, they can do on-the-job training and work on real projects.
We outsourced about 30, 40 shots to the team here. They did fantastic work that we can put into a movie and be proud of it. It's great. I mean, we want to do it again.
The studio is their first step into the professional world, the first step in their new careers as digital artists.
The whole purpose is to get the students out into the real world.
We all have the same dreams. We want significance, dignity, and purpose with our lives. We have an opportunity to give those 3 words to every single student at this school who will actually be able to go out and participate in the dream.
This is my first full-time, full-paying job. I primarily work in After Effects. I learned After Effects at Exceptional Minds. It seemed like a good place for me to fit in because I was interested in animation.
Right from the first day that Nicky set foot in our company, he was producing work for us. We saw what level of professionalism is being instilled in them from the very beginning.
This was the first opportunity where Nicky could combine something he loved to do with something he was really, really good at that could eventually lead to employment.
When we first met Kevin, he was working at a supermarket bagging groceries, and they said he would never amount to anything else.
I work at Stargate Studios, and I'm a junior compositor. I mainly do like rotoscoping right now, and I'm still learning.
I think that you find great talent in the most amazing places. The students at Exceptional Minds have had a fair amount of training to get them ready for the visual effects environment.
If it wasn't for Exceptional Minds, I might still be at the supermarket, and I might be living at my parents' house.
Everything's changed. Nicky has purpose.
It feels like I'm a member of society now.
He's capable of making it on his own.
Once you get inside and you see what's really happening there, you immediately want to be a part of it.
It's the dream factory, you know, the movie business, and if you can connect people with their dreams, then the magic happens.
At Exceptional Minds, we like to say that we are changing lives one frame at a time.
And we are back with an exceptional young woman. I'm looking at her bio here, and I just want to tell a little bit about you, Ifananya. You seamlessly combine global visions with local implementation. As a behavior interventionist and a musician, and with a background in psychology, you're equipped with a deep understanding of people and communication, which generously contributes to your leadership qualities. You've received a Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology from the University of California, Los Angeles, and a Master's in Nonprofit Leadership and Management from USC's Sol Price School of Public Policy, and you are the Executive Director and Founder at Jazz Hands for Autism.
Yes.
And you are a light on the planet. I was saying before that you come in and it's like you just shine like the surface of the sun. We're always happy to have you here and see you. And we want to congratulate you because you were recently chosen as one of the 40 under 40 to watch, right? Because you're doing such amazing things. That's a huge honor.
That's a huge honor.
I mean, pretty amazing. We have the tissues because we're all planning on crying over it. But so thank you for coming back. We're thrilled to have you here. Do we want to talk first about Jazz Hands, or do you want to tell us about this 40 under 40 and what that was like?
So let's talk first about Jazz Hands.
Okay, let's talk about Jazz Hands.
Okay, so I'm trying not to cry.
But we have tissues. It's all good.
So I mean, this is what, my 3rd time back on the show, and you know, there's been a lot that's happened at Jazz Hands. You know, this is our 5th year. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary at our concert on May 25th. So what was that, 2 weeks ago? And it's just like, I had to like take a step back and be like, okay, you know what? Because I'm so used to like, okay, there's so much more to do. There's so much more to be done that I had to take a step back and be like, you know what? We've done quite a lot in the last 5 years. And, you know, like now we have a studio in Culver City where, you know, our students are learning everything from, you know, they're getting voice training all the way to learning how to use Pro Tools. You know, our students are also able to record, you know, their EPs and their albums at our studio. You know, we're a vendor of the Regional Center now. We're a vendor of Westside Regional Center, North LA, Harbor, and then also Frank D. Landerman. And so, and you know, we have partnerships with different schools. Like we have a partnership with a school in Pasadena called Westmoreland Academy, and what the partnership is part of our initiative called the Music Teacher Training Program. And so we train our students who want to be teachers how to teach in the classroom. And so there's been a lot happening at Jazz Hands. So it's gone from, you know, just our concert series to now we're like a kind of a full-fledged, you know, training program for people with autism who have an interest and a keen interest and a passion and a desire to, you know, work as a musician, whether they're teaching or they're composing or they're performing or they're even doing, you know, audio post-production. So we want to help them be able to get into the industry and, you know, wherever they want to, in a way that they want to get into the industry.
It's amazing what you've done.
So yeah, so it's a lot. There's still a lot more to go. You know, we're learning as each student comes to us. They bring new information that we can then utilize to help serve them better. So, you know, at Jazz Hands, we provide individualized training. So it's everyone, because everybody's different, everyone comes to us with a unique set of skills, interests, you know, and goals. And so our job is to create like a menu of, you know, services that cater to that and help them reach their goals step by step. You know, and it's not just, you know, their musical goals, it's also the social aspect of it, the professional aspect of it, and also there's some life skills that they're learning. So, you know, how to make sure that you're on time, you know, because you can't get high, you can be the most talented person in the world, but if you can't get there on time, it's going to be very hard for you to be employed. And so we work on all those skills. So it's like a very whole person you know, approach that we take to, you know, helping our students and our student musicians be able to develop their skills and then take these skills and then share that with their communities. So the big goal at Jazz Hands is not just for them to receive the training, but for them to take the training that they're receiving and be a part of their communities, you know, and give back, not just receive services all day, but be able to give something to you know, people in their environment and people in their community.
And you're so passionate about it, and you're so passionate about your students. And, you know, I think as a mom, I look at you and I go, here's this amazing young woman. Why did she decide to devote her life to this? What was the thing that got you into this and got you so passionate about it?
You know, that's an interesting question. You know, because I'm not a mom yet. You know, hopefully soon. Yeah. I'm not pregnant, so just clearing the air.
Not starting any rumors.
No, but I am engaged, so I'm getting married. In a couple of years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I hope to kind of get into that mom role soon. But why autism? I don't know. I don't have like a.
You don't have a personal connection.
I don't have a personal connection. I mean,
you do now.
I do, yeah, because like our students that are the musicians that we work with, they're like my family. You know, like, you know, we're all of us are the same age, so I'm like, we're growing together. You know, I understand where they are. I'm like, oh, you're probably just anxious. I was anxious last week. I understand. You know, totally cool. You know, like it's like our developmental phases are kind of like synced. So like I feel like they're my friends.
Yes.
So I do have a personal connection now, but prior to, I wouldn't say that I have a family member who has autism or anything like that. I don't know. I volunteered, you know, somewhere, and I was just like, this is what I want to do.
And you were fascinated by the autism community.
I wouldn't even call it fascinated. It just like, I just felt so, I was like, yeah.
You were drawn to that.
Yeah, I just was like linked. It just felt like, yeah, this is what I should, I don't know, this is what I should be doing. It wasn't like a question like, should I? I just walked into the volunteer opportunity, and I was like, this is it. I just felt it in my spirit.
This is where I belong. Yeah, this is where I need to be. Well, and I have seen your students and how they react to you, and they feel that. I mean, they feel like they're a part of your family and that you're a part of their family. So that's a pretty amazing thing. And can I just say, though, how much hope that gives me? that when people come into our community by choice and they are passionate to be here and they get our kids and they love our kids, that just gives me hope.
It does.
It makes me feel good about the world.
Yeah, to see how much talent is involved in helping our kids.
Yeah, well, we just covered a story of a teacher who gave a person on the spectrum the most annoying boy award.
Oh, I saw that on the news.
Doesn't that just make you want to throw up?
Oh no.
It's just like, what is wrong with you? So then to balance that, we have the yin and the yang here.
We have you today.
And to balance that and to see someone that is like you and has so much energy and so much passion on this world, and that you saw this and went, oh, this is where I belong. This is where I choose to be. This is where I want to be, is fabulous. And we'll send that other teacher out onto a fish trawler.
So how does the program work if there are people out there that are interested in joining?
So, I guess let me answer it by talking about our intake process. So generally, most of the musicians that we work with are from the regional center. So if there's a person with autism that has an interest in music that is part of the regional center, the first step would just be to ask their service coordinator, hey, I heard about this program, is what do you know about it? How just tell me your thoughts about it. And if they're not familiar with it, they can just reach out to us, and then we can communicate directly with them. Following that, after they kind of reach out to us or reach out to their service coordinator, we have like a home visit. And that's really important to me because that's a big part of like how we become like a family. I want to know you. I want to know I want to know you where you feel most comfortable. So I make it a point to make sure I schedule a time to go to the home of the individual that's interested in the program, to meet their family, to see them where they're comfortable, so you see their instruments. So instead of like them having to lug their instruments to like a meeting, I come to them where they feel most comfortable. So I get to see them in their natural kind of like their natural habitat, exactly, I guess would be a good word. And then after that, then I kind of get to know them a little bit, ask them some questions, about their goals, like what are your goals with your music? You have to have some goals. It can't just be like, oh yeah, I play piano sometimes. Like, okay, so like what do you want to do? Like I'm sure everybody has an aspiration, so I want to know what are you interested in doing. And I don't ask them to put a cap on like, oh, what's realistic and what's not realistic, because the way that I am, this may or may not be, I don't know, I may be naive or something, but I just believe that there's no limits. I believe that everyone has the capacity and the ability to be what they want to be.
Yes.
And all they need is support to help them get to that place sometimes. And so I ask them what their goals are. We figure out, I outline that. Then I go back with our staff and say, okay, this is a student. These are their goals. These are kind of these are their needs. Like kind of from talking to them, I see, okay, they probably need some vocals. So I see kind of what they need, and then I talk to our staff, and then we submit to them like a recommendation. So
like a plan.
A plan. So basically, like
that says how often they come in to work
right,
with you.
Exactly, and what they'll be working on.
Right.
And then we go back and forth until they say, okay, this is good.
Okay.
And then after that, then we go back to the regional center. We submit all that stuff, and then they get started with us.
Okay. Wow.
So that's like our basic kind of intake process. But it always starts with the family or the individual being interested first. So
and how long can they stay with you once they've started?
So because everything is individualized, it really depends on the person and their progress. Ideally, we have 3 phases in the program. We have, the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 is like kind of like where you get the foundational job skills and you get the foundational music skills. Phase 2 is what we call internship and specialization. So you're kind of like you've got the foundational things, and now you're kind of building on that skill. And phase 3 is employment. And so ideally, if a person was to go, kind of just kind of speed through it, and they're hitting all the targets, at certain times, hit all the benchmarks, then, it could be, 3 years. But some people have been with us a little bit longer because, they may go really quickly with the music, but then there's the social part that we need to work on.
Right.
Okay.
But while they're with us, it doesn't mean that they can't be working. So we are still trying to find them opportunities to be plugged into the community.
Is having a paid position the ultimate goal?
Yes, the goal is that our musicians are able to have consistent work paid work as a musician. So whether they're
Okay.
teaching or whether they're performing,
Uh-huh.
our goal is to, or maybe if they're a composer, get a good placement.
Right.
So it really depends on what they want to do, and then our goal
Right.
with them is to get them in that place and then be paid.
Okay.
It's not just volunteer.
And so I didn't realize that there was like a natural progression to an end, where that when they're done, what happens? Because you guys have fun. And I see that your students love coming there, and it's this very nurturing environment. What do you ever have students who are like, I don't want to go?
Yeah.
I bet you
Yeah.
do.
Yes, we do, but I do let them know, like, you
gotta go.
There comes a point, like, you're an adult,
Yeah.
So at some point, like, I know, you're always welcome to come back,
Right.
and like, visit everybody. But at some point, you have to, the goal is for you to be as independent
Got
as
it.
possible. But one thing that we're trying to do, we have some plans, like, because for a person with autism, sometimes the support doesn't always end when they get the job.
Sure.
Sometimes the support is kind of needed past that
Ongoing.
point.
Yeah.
And so we hope to be able to provide that support ongoing.
It's okay.
That's my alarm.
It's okay. You got places you gotta go.
Yeah, you got people to see.
No, I just have strange alarms at strange times of the day.
Okay, it's all good. Well, and
So-
we're almost done.
Yeah,
Our
let's
alarms are
talk
to
about
go
how
off.
people can find out. Is there a
Yeah.
website on the
Yes,
program?
we have a new website.
That's
Sorry, I'm
Tell
so
us about
excited
that.
because like it's taken us some time to kind of get it in a place where it gives all the information. Our previous website, it was good, but it didn't give you couldn't really tell the full scope of what was happening at Jazz Hands. But now our new website kind of tells you, like, gives you a lot more information. So our website is www.jazzhandsforautism.org.
Okay.
And then we're on Instagram, so that's Jazz Hands for Autism. We're on Facebook, Jazz Hands for Autism, and then we're also on Twitter, which we don't really use that much, but
Right,
we just have
right.
it for Twitter's sake.
Yeah.
And that's JH4 Autism.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I would love. Our goal is to be a resource for every musician that has autism, and to help them really create a path where they can get into the music industry and do what they want to do. So that's our goal.
Great.
And you're
Wonderful
based here in
mission.
Los Angeles
Oh yeah, we're
right
based in
now.
Los Angeles. Our studio's in Culver City.
But is there a plan ever to be anyplace else?
Yes.
Okay, I thought there might be.
Yeah. So well, I've been talking with our board, and we're trying to figure out, okay, where's the next place that we can go to, and we have a few cities. First of all, of course, we want to expand within California, and then first expand in California, and then think about going outside of California.
Yeah.
And eventually, be international. I'm Nigerian, and I know that there's a lot of people with autism in Nigeria that probably are not receiving even a fraction of what they need to receive in regards to services. And so I'm really, really passionate, not just about Jazz Hands being a resource here, but I really want to be like a global disability advocate, such that everyone with a disability, no matter where they are, has access to resources that they need to live a full and meaningful life. So that's part of my personal goal. As just my own goal. Of course, Jazz Hands is a part of that. Of course, there's gonna be some point where I know this may not be like a good thing to say, but a big part of Jazz Hands is the fact that we are always young and innovative. And at some point, I'm not going to be young and innovative. So at some point, somebody's going to have to step in who's younger and more innovative than me to be able to lead the organization and kind of maintain that young and innovative spirit of it. And so at some point, I will be.
I think that's a long time.
It's
from now.
not anytime soon, but I just wanted to, because I want to mention that because I do. Beyond just music, I think there's services that are needed all over the world for people with disabilities, and so I'm really, really passionate about that.
Okay, great.
Well, I love that you're thinking that far ahead.
Yes.
I mean, the first time that we had you on the show, and you were so young, and you had such big plans, but you were such, I mean, the word that we use sometimes is, a spitfire. You're like, you're somebody who gets it done, and to see you 5 years later and all that you have accomplished, oh my gosh. I totally understand why they would pick you as a 40 under 40. So tell us just briefly about how we can find out more information about that and what that honor is like.
So I'm still finding out information about it. I received an email one day. I was like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
I sat down, I cried for 10 minutes. I was like, wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? And so it's through the Empowerment Congress, and I believe which is spearheaded by Mark Ridley Thomas. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mark Ridley Thomas, yeah, supervisor.
Yes.
Right.
And so they sent an email saying that I had been selected to be honored at the 40 under 40 dinner. I'm just like, okay.
That's from Lebanon.
This is cool.
Not something you were looking for, but I think very appropriate.
Very appropriate.
We're very excited for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the work that you're doing for our community. See, that's going to make me cry. I can't wait to see, what you do next.
I know.
Because I have no doubt
You're
that
expanding
you will
by
do
leaps
things.
and bounds.
Thank you. And I just want to make sure that people don't think
Yes.
I'm leaving Jazz Hands tomorrow.
No.
This is like I have a few more decades here.
Yeah.
But I just want to just say that just part of
You're looking at the big picture.
Yeah, I'm looking at the big picture. Like the global picture, and
Yes.
just beyond.
I think that's really wise. I think you are wise beyond your years. I want to grow up to be more like you. And that's the truth.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you for joining us today and telling us about the program.
We are out of time,
We
you
are.
guys. But we'll thank both of our wonderful guests today, and thank you, Nancy, for co-hosting with me.
Thank you, Shannon.
We're going to be back on Monday with a super great show, and all next week. You're not going to want to miss that. So until then, give your kiddos a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.